Most people treat Panama City like a layover before a cruise. Big mistake. This is one of Latin America's most underrated city breaks, where you can walk through 500-year-old ruins, watch the Panama Canal in action, eat in Casco Viejo, and end the day above the skyline from a rooftop bar that looks like Miami got dropped into the tropics. This is Panama City in 2026.
Welcome to Panama City!
Panama City works because it gives you a lot without needing a complicated trip. You can base yourself in the city, see UNESCO history, visit the canal, eat well, walk the waterfront, and add day trips to rainforests, islands, or the Caribbean side. And for travelers who want something different from the usual Latin America city break, Panama City is a great choice because it feels familiar and completely different at the same time.
A trip to Panama would not be complete without visiting the Old City. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. There's a lot of historic buildings to visit.
Casco Viejo is the heart of Panama City for visitors. It has the colonial architecture, the plazas, the churches, the balconies, the boutique hotels, the cafes, the rooftop bars, and the kind of streets where you plan to walk for 20 minutes and somehow lose half a day. This is where you come for the historic side of the city, but it's also where Panama City feels the most alive at night. And if you're into food, Panama City has quietly become a serious culinary destination. Maito has been recognized among Latin America's 50 best restaurants, and Casco Viejo is packed with restaurants and rooftop bars that make the city far more polished than many people expect.
We're here at the Panama Canal and it's a bit crazy, but it's really impressive. We're here at the Pacific entrance of the locks, which is the Miraflores locks, and there's actually 3 sets to get you from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean.
The Panama Canal is one of those places that sounds like homework until you are standing there watching a ship the size of a floating city move through a lock with inches to spare. The Miraflores Visitor Center is the easiest place to see it if you are staying in Panama City, and the ticket includes the IMAX film narrated by Morgan Freeman.
If you do come here, make sure you get up to the 4th floor, check out the amazing view, watch the ships come in and out, but also get down to the museum because it gives you a great idea of how things were built, the struggles that everybody went through, and it's quite interactive.
If you are really into the scale of the modern canal, you can also look into the Agua Clara locks on the Atlantic side. This is where the larger Neo-Panamax ships pass through. Most first-time visitors just visit Miraflores as it is easiest, but we have visited both, and they're both interesting yet very different. You can book day tours online, and we have links in the description below.
We are touring Panama Viejo, and the ruins behind me date back to 1519, and they were in use until 1671. Now, the Spaniards, they ruined these, they sacked them themselves and burnt them, and then they moved everything to the new city of what we know as Panama today. So this is pretty interesting to come by and see.
Before there was Casco Viejo, there was Panama Viejo. This is where the original city was founded in 1519. You can walk through the ruins, visit the museum, and climb the cathedral tower for one of the best views of the city.
Let's go.
So you can walk up to the top of the cathedral tower for a panoramic view of Panama, and it's fantastic. And they do have the tourist steps made, so you don't have to go through the old traditional ones, which look like they would have been quite an adventure.
You can book group tours to see this, and we highly recommend it to learn all about the history, especially about the story of Henry Morgan, the pirate who attacked the city.
One of the nicest things you can do here in Panama is to go for a walk along the waterfront. They've got a great running track. They've got some lookouts where you're overlooking the causeway, and it's a great view of the city, and the breeze is spectacular.
If you come to Democracy Plaza here in Panama City, it has a beautiful view of the old city. It's also a little respite from the traffic here in the city.
The Skyline is the part of Panama City that surprises people. One minute you are in colonial streets, and the next you're looking at a skyline that feels like Singapore, Shanghai, and Latin America had a very ambitious meeting. We stayed at the Panama Megapolis, and it had incredible views of the city. Plus, the JW Marriott is the hottest spot in town, but make sure to book reservations ahead of time as it is very popular. Fun fact, Panama hats are actually made in Ecuador, but they became famous as Panama hats after President Roosevelt was photographed wearing one while visiting the Panama Canal in 1906. If you have an extra day or two in Panama City, head towards the Caribbean side to visit Fort Lorenzo. It's part of the old Spaniard defense system built to protect the trade routes that made Panama so valuable. Long before container ships, cruise ships, and the modern canal, Panama was already one of the most important crossroads in the world. Gold, silver, goods, pirates, empires, basically every ingredient for a History Channel documentary, but with much better weather. Panama has a beautiful coastline, and we were lucky enough to take a small expedition cruise from Panama City to Costa Rica. But one of the islands that you can visit on a day pass is Tabago Island. We have links in the description below where you can enjoy this beautiful beach and gorgeous reefs to do some snorkeling, swimming, or just relax in the sun. One of the most memorable day trips from Panama City is a visit to an Embera Wounan community. This is a chance to learn about one of Panama's indigenous cultures through food, music, dance, and art, while supporting community-based tourism. Depending on the tour, the day can include a boat ride along the river, a walk through the jungle to learn about medicinal plants, and a traditional lunch. You'll have time to see handmade baskets, carving, and beadwork, which you can purchase from local artisans. The important thing here is to choose the tour carefully and look for community-led or indigenous-owned operators. Done respectfully, it adds a completely different layer to a Panama City trip. In the morning, you are leaving the skyline behind and heading into the rainforest, and by evening, you can be back at Casco Viejo for dinner. That contrast is exactly what makes Panama City such an underrated destination. Now, before we wrap up, let's quickly talk about where to stay and a few things that will make your trip easier. If you want modern luxury with incredible skyline views, the JW Marriott is iconic. We also stayed at the Megapolis, which is another great option that's a little more affordable but still central with easy access to restaurants, bars, and Cinta Costera. If you want modern luxury with incredible service, the Bristol Hotel is one of the best places to stay in the city. We stayed there. It feels elegant without feeling over the top, and the location is excellent, splitting the difference between modern Panama City and Casco Viejo. But you should absolutely spend at least a couple of nights in Casco Viejo too. That's where Panama City really slows down. Panama City feels modern, international, tropical, historic, and slightly chaotic all at the same time. And honestly, that combination is exactly why we like it so much. Are you planning a trip to Panama City? Let us know in the comments where you'd like to go next. Thanks for watching, everyone, and make sure to subscribe, click on that bell, and give it a share so that you don't miss the next video.